welcome back to the sports show. Oh, yes, on that damn YouTube. As always, we'll get into some MLB standings, talk some college football, not for 2023, but for 2024. So let's just jump into the standings here. American League East, the Tampa Bay Rays at 46-21, followed by Baltimore Orioles at 41-24, 5 back behind the first place Tampa Bay Rays, who are just obviously a-rolling. I think for the first time all year, if I'm not mistaken, they have a team under 500 out there. It's the Red Sox, 33-34, but still a hell of a competitive division out there. They have that many teams flirting with being 500 or better. In the Central, the Minnesota Twins, a 1.5 game lead over the Cleveland Guardians. Detroit Tigers fallen back to earth since our last broadcast. I think the last broadcast we had, I want to say the Tigers were in second place, if I'm not mistaken, out there in the AL Central. AL West, Texas Rangers at first place at 41-24, 4.5 game lead over Houston, who has basically body bags of injuries going on out there with that team. The NL East, Atlanta Braves, who have been whooping on the Detroit Tigers the past few days, 3.5 game lead on the Miami Marlins, but Luis Arraez batting .391, incredible. Do you think he'll come close or even hit 400 this year?
It's certainly within the realm of possibility. He's without a question one of the 5 best hitters in the league, and nobody can really seem to stop him.
Yeah, his last 2 years, because obviously last year I think he led the American League. I don't know if it was entire baseball, but had a hell of a season last year, leading the league in batting average. And this year he's sitting at .391. I think just a few days ago he was over that 400 line, but really close. I think the last player, and this is just the top of my head, I want to say it was either Tony Gwynn or maybe George Brett, who finished the season, I think, at 380 or higher. So 391, and it's not even just his hitting, his on-base percentage is also pretty damn impressive. I think the last time I looked, it was around 450 or 460, which is just bonkers to be reaching base almost 50% of the damn time out there for the Marlins. What we got here? The NL Central, Pittsburgh Pirates. How about that? 1 game lead, standing in first place, but got a game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers, who are 34-32, followed by Cincinnati and the damn Chicago Cubs. St. Louis in last place. In the AL West, I think this is kind of one of the most surprising first place teams we have out here. The Arizona Diamondbacks in first place, a 4-game lead over the Dodgers, followed by the Giants and the Padres, who just cannot get their damn shit together. But Arizona, we've seen Corbin Carroll on full display at Comerica Park this past weekend. Had a game, I think he had 2 home runs, and then the game after that, I think he had a triple, a double, almost hit for the damn cycle. But you talk one of the best young players in the damn baseball. How do you feel about Corbin Carroll?
Yeah, it's for me, it shows exactly what a good organization with good talent development can do, which definitely hasn't been the Tigers in the last 40 years since the 70s and 80s.
You said 40 years. I thought you were going to say the last 5. You said 40. Oh my God. I'm talking the 80s?
I mean, it's been an exercise in futility to develop somebody of that level. You just haven't seen it. And Riley Green maybe could be that, but the guy can't stay on the field. He's got 2 broken bones in 2 seasons, and need to get the guy eating some more fucking meat or something, I guess.
Yeah, dare I say Charles Rogers, but at least Green, when he got on the field, he was putting up some pretty decent stats out there. And I mean, not that Charles Rogers wasn't, but yeah, it's just so deflating, man. We've talked about this probably every damn episode. I'm sure every Tiger fan's sick of it like we are talking about it, but the injuries to these young guys. You see a team like Baltimore, who was kind of in the same situation we were just about 5 or 6 years ago. They pretty much the same point that we were. Just, you're seeing these guys actually go injury-free and coming up and playing and contributing to get that wild card spot in the American League. But you got some Javier Baez situation that went on. Man, this guy just can't stay off the damn sports podcast on here with all the controversy he starts. What did he do now?
No, yeah. So last night, it was the top of the 5th. He had an easy double play ball lined right up for him. Bobbles it, throws to third, gets 1 out. Looks towards either the Tigers dugout or the crowd and says, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah,
whichever one of those 2 options it is, it's not a good look at all.
Sometimes you just feel like saying that. Even if nobody pissed you off, a bird or a fucking, you trip, you kind of, something stupid happens. Like, shut the fuck up. Mind your own business.
And, initially maybe I thought it was the guy that was out of third maybe chirping, but when you look at it again, he's not even in the frame. And he's like directly looking at that dugout area. So maybe AJ Hinch was saying something to his ass from the dugout, and he told Hinch to shut the fuck up. If he's benched today, we'll know the answer to that question, I guess.
Yeah, I'm guessing it had to be a fan that was heckling his ass for quite a while. Probably a season ticket holder for it to get to that point. Maybe this was like 10 or 20 games building up. Obviously, we know what happened out there in Toronto with that little debacle he had, not remembering how many outs there were. I think this had to be a situation, though, that was, like I said, building up the last couple of games, someone who's been sitting there for the homestand, or someone throughout the game who's been heckling them. But either way, man, completely unnecessary, Javi Baez. What are we doing? Who was it, Raiola? Remember, I think it was Dominic Raiola flipped off the fans. Yeah, that was some bullshit, too, because I think these players don't understand that. It's really not about them. For Baez, it probably is, though. But for the Lions, at least, it's about the organization and just a built-up frustration, not what, Raiola was doing when he flicked off the fans out there. But, yeah, Baez, chirping. Can't be doing that, man. What the hell's wrong with you, Baez? Torkelson, though, walk-off home run. Is his power there? Do we have a power first baseman? Think someone with that home run, or is that just luck?
He hit that, so he hit a walk-off like single or whatever, but the homer was a 440-foot homer, a couple innings earlier?
Yeah, it's a blast.
I mean, the thing that I'll say is we've seen him do that a couple of times where you thought, oh man, he's going to get it together. Because remember, he hit that homer in Houston over the train tracks?
Yeah,
they were down there?
Yeah, in April.
Yeah, and everyone thought it was, oh man, it's him. He's here. But there's pieces there that you've seen, but the man just has not been able to get into a rhythm of getting it together. And I mean, his batting average still isn't great. For me, a measure of success with him, I mean, he was a 1 overall. Like,
yeah,
it's like the Hawkinson stuff. When you draft somebody that high, they can't just be okay. They're okay. Like, they have to be. The expectation is elite. Or like Jeff Okuda. Like, when you draft somebody that high, the expectation, like for Torkelson, is probably 20 to 30 bombs a year. Maybe at least a 250 batting average with a lot of power. Guy can't be hitting singles and batting 220 like he has been. So we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah, and that on-base percentage is another key indicator. His on-base percentage is only .315. That's fucking awful. I don't care if you are a slugger or a power hitter. That's just showing you have no plate discipline out there. I'm not sure what his swing and rate miss is or his exit velo. I don't got any of that shit in front of me. But just looking at the stats, I mean, how the hell is Jake Rogers your team leader in home runs? I mean, coming into the season, nobody would have said that. Nobody. You would have been batshit crazy to sit there and say, oh yeah, Jake Rogers, that's the Tigers' power hitter. My ass. Even just looking at it, Torkelson tied for third in home runs at only 6. 63 games played. Torkelson, who had all this hype coming out of college, at least from his power stats, fucking 6 home runs through 63 games. That's fucking awful. I don't give a shit if you're playing in Comerica Park or not, man. That should be a lot more. You should be, 10? 10 or 11 is not unreasonable for 63 games through the damn season. And to have Jake Rogers be your leading hitter, that's not good. And then, your second one, Nick Maton. I mean, like, long term, this guy ain't going to hit for shit. He's hitting 162 on the damn season, but as many home runs as Torkelson. That just, come on. What the fuck is that about?
Worth noting, the Tigers are 27th overall in home runs. They have 54. The bottom number is the Cleveland Guardians. Don't call them the Indians.
Yes, right. Do not.
With 42. So the Indians are in Guardians, whatever you want to call them, are in dead last by quite a significant margin. But the Tigers are not great either.
And what's surprising is with the lack of power, they're sitting there at second place, the Guardians.
Yeah, they are. Worth noting, too, team statistics, the Tigers are dead last in the league in OPS. They are dead last in slugging. They are 28th in on-base percentage.
Oh, no.
And they are 29th in batting average, 225. And Oakland is dead last with 223, so not far off there.
No. I mean, they're on their way to another top 3 pick, which in baseball isn't a good thing. It's not like basketball or even the NFL at this point, or NHL. It's really still the last sport where it's going to take guys 2 or 3 years to even show up, no matter where you get them at. I don't care who the hell you're drafted. It's going to take a few years, so just a depressing road ahead for the Detroit Tigers. All right, so let's just jump into some college football talk. Not 2023, but I want to jump ahead to 2024, which we could hit a little fast forward button on this shit. But during the 2024 college football season, the hell of a lot of damn changes going to be going down here, as we got Texas and Oklahoma are going to both join the SEC, as 2023 will bring in BYU, UFC, Cincinnati, and Houston to kind of fill in or soften that blow of losing traditional powerhouses out there in the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC in 2024, and obviously out here USC and UCLA are going to be joining the Big 10. And also some more stuff going down here in 2024. Just crazy seismic shift for college football as far as formats and teams, as they're going to be expanding team playoff in 2024, even doing some home games during these playoffs for the top higher seeds. So imagine Michigan sneaking in there, having a game in, I guess it would be December or January, playoff game out there in the elements. And you also got the college football game coming out in 2024. Probably looking forward more to that than anything else. But all these changes that are going on in college football for next season almost feels like we're watching an entirely different sport, because, BYU, UFC, and Cincinnati and Houston, yeah, they all belong together, right? Geography-wise, I don't fucking think so. At least, college football, I think, is the only sport that doesn't give a shit about their regional, where the teams are placed, because Texas and Oklahoma both splitting for the SEC. How do you feel about all this? Do you feel like college football is just setting itself up to form one big super college football league, maybe 32 teams? Is that the way we're going here? Because it seems like it to me right now, with all these schools conferences, scrambling to grab whatever they can, like the Big 12 did, picking up BYU and Cincy, to just have something formed together to keep that conference alive. But do you think we're going to that, though? Just a super college football league thing going on here?
Oh, absolutely. I also think I don't think it's good for the sport what's going on right now. The one thing that I really think has gotten totally out of control is the NIL stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got high schoolers asking for $1 million to come play for you. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What world are we living in here? These guys, look at with like Michigan and Michigan State. Michigan had Cade leave, and then he took the tight end with him to Iowa, and there's probably an NIL deal there. And then with State, Keon Coleman came out and said it was a prison sentence to. Oh, you know what, Keon? I don't like to smear people, but take your ass on somewhere else, man. If you don't want to be at the university you're at, then why would you go there in the fucking first place? Yeah. And then Auburn tampering with Peyton Thorne and giving him all that money. I mean, the dude made a video about why he left, and you're sitting in a brand new Dodge Ram. Like, come on. I think it's the death of the sport. I really do. It's lost all of this soul. And, for me as a State fan, the best memory I had was at Rose Bowl in 2014. Because the Rose Bowl back then was the Rose Bowl. Now it's just another, you guys didn't make the playoffs. We're going to send you scumbags out here. It's lost all the specialness to it. And the bowl games have lost all the meaning. Your only games that are going to matter are the playoff, and who really cares after that?
Yeah, I think I think if they go back to a super conference, and let's just say it's 32 teams, I think in a weird way that will kind of bring everything back, because then you can really align everything how you want. You can have like a Midwest division, maybe a Deep South division, and an East and a West, and kind of realign everything where you get a lot of these natural, regional divisions and regional rivalries going again. I think that's what's going to save the sport, and maybe that might not happen until maybe the 30s, crazy talking about the 30s. But, I mean, I really think that's maybe when you're going to see a shift of that happening. And then even then, you can maybe implement, I don't know, some kind of salary cap system, too, since you'll have a whole new league. But, yeah, I don't know what the hell they're doing out here, man. And especially when you got teams like USC and UCLA join the Big Ten. Those are always special, man, to play those West Coast teams. Like you said, especially like in the Rose Bowl or something like that. It is going to be nice to see USC having to play Ohio State or Wisconsin, anybody, in November or December, seeing those guys go at it. Now, for Texas and Oklahoma, to me, honestly, I don't know why they even would join the SEC. I think they're going to get slaughtered. At least Texas will. Texas, obviously, a team coming up. I think they opened up against Alabama last year, if I remember correctly. I think it was their opener they had to start off the season was against Alabama, talking about Texas. But I don't think they're really ready to compete with those SEC schools, and it might stunt their growth in kind of a weird way. All right, so you got a new NBA champion, too, the Denver Nuggets, knocking out Miami 4-1. Poor Jimmy Butler had no help in this series. I think Denver's depth just absolutely swarmed Miami with Jokic and Murray. Even Caldwell Pope, a former Detroit Piston, showing up out there. But Denver Nuggets, their first NBA championship. Jokic, man, how incredible was he during this NBA Finals?
Oh, he was awesome. You know, one thing that I've been excited for with them winning it, I really think this season in the NBA was the death of all these stupid super teams, and it makes me so happy because I hate all these egotistical guys like Kyrie and KD, like, oh, I need 17 people around me to win. It's like, no, just be a good player. Maybe you'll win.
Yeah, especially
Maybe
Denver.
Just be like Jokic.
I mean, Denver, these were, at least Murray and Jokic, yeah, these are like draft picks, homegrown guys that they're able to plug in there. And Jokic, man, talk about the most unflashiest player to dominate the way he's doing. I guess maybe Tim Duncan?
Yeah, he's an old school player, and that's what I like when I watch basketball. I don't like these guys that are taking threes from the other side of the court. It bores me. It really does. I like guys like that. I like the tough guys who have got a strong work ethic. I mean, this man's out there in the press conference last night disappointed that he can't go home until like Thursday after the parade. Like, how can you not love that guy?
Yeah. Yeah, and they were, speaking of three-point shooters, Denver was bombing it too last night. I think they were like 2 for 23 at one point before they were able to close it out. But yeah, Miami, I think that's their third straight NBA final that they've lost. Obviously not consecutive years, but in the franchise history out there, that's a team that's going to really have to kind of retool. Good enough to get to the finals, but Jimmy Butler, he definitely needs some help out there for the Miami Heat. But Denver, your 2023 NBA champions. I was out there last year. I went to Glenwood Springs and Castle Rock for about a week.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived down there in Colorado for a year, so that's definitely my Team B. All right, there it is. That's your great, amazing, fantastic, I can't think of any damn more words to describe it, podcast here on the Sports Show. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. See ya.